Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Fatback 4 podcast for this Sunday night during the international break. I am joined by Keith, I'm joined by Seany, and I'm joined by Grizz. An absolute packed show tonight. We will talk about the pay-per-view stuff. We will talk about the possible minority stake being bought in FSG. We're going to talk about this derby that's coming up at the weekend and how big it is. And we're going to have a lovely chat about Jurgen Klopp at the end of the show. It's going to be an absolute packed show, I'm going to be honest with you. Before we get going, though, we have put out a tweet onto our timeline. If you see it there, it's letting you know we're going live. Please hit the retweet button, please hit the like button, and if you're on and watching now, as you obviously are, hit the like button, share, and if you haven't subscribed already, go and subscribe. Last thing I'll say, the Flick Sport app, if you like talking to us or watching us and you like to talk to us during the week away from the shows, get onto the Flick Sport app, download it on the Apple or the Android stores, and just type in Trippers Chats as the group of your destination. It's all in the description below. There you go. It's all in there. We've made that big effort to do that for you. I'm going to start off tonight, though, with COVID concerns. Now, many of you know Seany shoots straight from the hip, and he just told me today, the whole fucking squad have it. That was his words to me. Seany, this is getting a bit worrying. Now, I'm not saying no one else is worrying, but I'm finding that you are the biggest worrier over this, because every couple of days, another Liverpool player has contacted COVID-19. What are you making of this? Is this for you going to get worse as it goes on, or is it just a patch that's happening and it'll go away? What's your feelings on
it? It seems to be in drips and drabs, like it's coming out. Obviously, it was Thiago, and then Mane, and then Shaq had it, but hadn't got it anymore, had antibodies. So he would have had it. He would have contracted it from the team. And then, as far as I'm aware, Naby Keita was tested positive today. So, which means he could have been in an incubation period from, up to 14 days. So, he could have been in and around the squad. So, they're just kind of hoping for it to stop and fade away and to stop being an issue. You seem to be one of the only clubs really suffering with it, because it seems to me Thiago brought it in and affected a couple of the boys whilst he was at it. Now, completely unbeknownst to him, obviously, these lads are all elite athletes, so it's highly unlikely that they be asymptomatic or, at the very least, have slight symptoms. So, it's kind of like waiting for the storm to pass, that you don't know whether it's there or not. So, I'd imagine in the next 2 weeks, when our players stop getting it, you'd hope that it's passed. Because I'm not 100% up on the science of it, because, to be honest with you, I kind of gave up on listening to COVID around May. It was every day in the news. Like everybody, you just switch off.
Yeah.
You can contract it twice, but it's highly unlikely that you'll contract it twice. So you'll just have to hope that we can get through it. You know what I mean? It is a bit of a worry, because you don't want to be missing any number of players from your squad at any one time, and it's fucking something that we know very little about. So it's a worry for me. And Keita being out, it's unfortunate, because he was really getting going, and at least it's not some sort of muscle injury that will inhabit his game. And I know people are saying, it might have long-term effects on athletes. We still don't know much about the virus at the moment, so you just have to wait for it to pass. Unfortunately, this times that we're living in, where it's usually taken away from the enjoyment of this Liverpool team, and it continue to do so until there's some sort of vaccine in place.
Yeah, a couple of points. Kieran Torres says, don't worry about us COVID lads. Players will be at herd immunity level soon, and we won't have to worry. Somebody actually said that to me on the golf course today. They went, genuinely, on the golf course, someone turned to me and said, do you remember when they were in their bubble, when they were finishing the season and there wasn't an issue, and now they're not in these bubbles and it's a problem? Is there an argument for them to just literally do herd immunity and just let them fucking all get it and close football down for a couple of weeks and then just start it up again? I thought it's not a bad point, when you think about it, as the numbers, I think, which will rise amongst footballers over the next couple of weeks. But Stephen O'Connor says tier 3 in Liverpool that could, I put it up there, tier 3 in Liverpool that could last for 6 months. pubs, bars, and gyms are to close. Not good at all. Feel sorry for all businesses. That's madness. 6 months is fucking incredible. When you look at the 6 months you're going to have if you look at bars on their own, pubs and bars, like you have Halloween, you have Christmas, you have New Year. 6 months from now is St. Patrick's Day, which is huge in Liverpool. That's phenomenal. To be coming out, Keith. Are you as worried as Seany, or do you think it could be a herd immunity thing? Could he just decide, listen, everything stops now? Fuck it, everything stops, and we deal with it like we did, 3-4 months ago.
Yeah, it's interesting, that it's only Liverpool players seemingly that are getting hopped out of it. Maybe that's all we're hearing, but I haven't heard of other teams. It could get to that stage. I mean, people are saying in the comments there about Liverpool going into a 6-month lockdown. That's madness. You know what I mean? That's absolutely crazy. But there's other cities as well. Manchester, Newcastle, Leeds are all going apparently the same way, and yet their players aren't contracting. I don't know if it's as simple as one player came in, had the disease, and it's after spreading through their squad, as Seany said with Thiago, or whether it is a case that they're all going to start dropping like flies, and then they'll put a stop to it there. Kieran saying Laporte and Gundogan at City. There's been rumours of a lot of players getting it, and I don't know if teams are publicising it, or maybe we're just not seeing it. But yeah, Chris saying about Tierney from Arsenal, that was a close contact, wasn't it? There's a few of them. There'll be loads of these. Ireland today, I think, got absolutely
only missed the game the other night because they were in close contact with somebody who was tested positive. Look, it's Lord knows when it's gonna go away. Like I'm a big NFL fan now, and that's ravaged by it. But yeah. I think there's gonna be, although we don't know about it, I think regarding football there will be contingency plans in place. I don't think football will stop personally, because I think they can get on with it. I think these businesses with loads of money at hand, who have access to testing and other sort of facilities, they'll be able to get on with it. Like you said, Gav, it's small businesses like over the period of Christmas that will really struggle. And 1,000 games, you need to be mindful of people's mental health and well-being, because it's dark times, you know what I mean? It really is. And football does give us a lift. And I know we'll segue into trying to charge $15.95 to watch a game, but football is a lot that people, it's all that people really have. Like some people, they live for it, you know what I mean? And on the weekends, and we were huge advocates of that back in the summer when we thought the league was going to be cancelled, and people just thought that we were saying that because we wanted to get back and win the league. Like football is massive for people. Yeah. It's massive for social circles. Even if you can't sit around the pub, you know what I mean? There's the likes of this group. If football gets stopped again, what are we going to be doing? Quizzes every other night?
Yeah.
Don't give the game away, Seany.
The best Liverpool 11 starting with the letter C.
Yeah. We think of something. Jamie Carragher's auntie or something like that. Like, Jamie Carragher had another stupid 11 every Wednesday, like players who played in Shop and Aldi and stuff like that, you know.
Players that Shop and Aldi.
You just need to I think as it goes on, the club will become more stringent with that deadline. Look, we can put all of this shite in place, but if FIFA are demanding that players fly to all corners of the world and join up with players from all other corners of the world.
I want to segue into something about the Liverpool as a club and how they could have dealt with it. What's the club that actually stopped their players from going out? Was it Salzburg?
And Juventus.
And Juventus. I think we've missed a massive, not trick, but it's genuine. I think we should have followed suit. The amount of players
we'd have been upended by the FA if we'd have done this.
We don't get the support of FA than what those teams would.
It's not even the support. I think Juventus would just tell the Italian FA, we're not doing it. That's it. Yeah. What are you going to do about it? Yeah. And the same in Austria.
Well, if we need to look at the players, if we go through the players that have contracted it with us, right? And Seany's convinced, and I'm pretty much convinced that they're all going to get it at some stage. Whether it comes out or whether it's through tests, whatever, we don't know. But it's one of those diseases where they're in contact with each other every single day. It seems as though Thiago's brought into the squad. We don't want to over speculate on that, but it seems as though that's the case. Don't forget we've had Tsimikas and Origi with it before the start of the season as well.
Apparently Gomez had it as well.
So add that to the numbers. So we're talking about 7-8 players from our squad that have got it. I thought we had a valid case or strong enough case to say, look, our players we need to self-isolate for these 2 weeks. And that seems like what should have been done across the board. But obviously FIFA weren't going to allow that. But I'm not sure if, how Juve done it or how Red Bull Salzburg done it. We should have at least put that forward, because it could be squad crippling. It is a worry. It absolutely is. There are other teams with it, other players with it. Sort of, you mentioned a couple of City players.
Sterling just refused to go to England, and they didn't disclose the injury or anything. They just said he's not going.
Yeah, of course. I was just going to say, you don't have to say COVID. I was going to say, you can say, unspecified injury. And no one's going to object to it, look into it overly. I think we did miss a trick there. I think this 2 weeks that we spent fucking around all around the world playing useless internationals could have been used for 2-week isolation. I think football will have to, at some point, be disrupted. If this continues, if the levels increase, it will have to be. There will be too much pressure. There will be too much pressure, Shawnee, from.
It's not even that. But Shawnee, one sec. If you turn around and you look and you say, right, say for argument's sake, Liverpool or Manchester United or Man City or whoever turn around and say, we've 8 players with it. We've 10 players with it. Now we've only 15 players. We can't even fill a match day squad. Something's going to have to happen if that comes about. And listen, it's extremely easy for a club to go from no cases to 10 because of the environment they work in. It's very simple. I want to read this message out though. It's from Ian Barron. He says, "Hi guys, I'm a Darlington FC fan. You're very welcome. We were made bankrupt in 2011, reformed in 2012, and had 3 promotions. We are currently a fan-owned National League North club. We were demoted 4 leagues, and they're on their way back." That is mental. That's some commitment, though. I have to give it to you. That's absolutely some commitment. We're moaning about 3 wins out of 4 in the Premier League, and you tell us that story. It makes us feel awful.
We're moaning about a few players missing, and well, some of these clubs going for 5 all the way up until League 1.
Absolutely.
If Ian Barron is sitting at home going, these kids don't know they're born, I think he's well within his rights. I'm being honest with you. Listen, the COVID stuff, as it develops or doesn't or whatever, we keep up to date and on track with it and all that sort of stuff as the days and weeks and months go on, and we'll always have updates on it. I know it's a pain in the hole because, as Shawnee said, well, listen to this since March. It's just you become nearly deaf to it. But we, when it comes to Liverpool Football Club and the goings on around the coronavirus and the club itself, it's something you have to always keep an eye on and discuss. Grizz, I want to stay with you, and I just want to go on quickly on this. Jack Butland is being linked with Liverpool, and it sent a shiver down my spine, I'm being honest with you. What do you make of this? Is this just more reaction to the Villa game and just throw a name out there and hope for the best? Or do you think Liverpool could seriously be considering bringing in another goalkeeper by October the 16th?
Gav, do you remember you said something really good about goalkeepers a couple of seasons ago? And you said something about if you were still discussing whether player X is good enough for your club, it's because it's not.
Yeah.
And that's the state we're in with this fella. I don't want to fucking go on about him because it will just work us all up. Well, it works me up anyway. You guys are cool dudes. You might not work you up, but it does. It starts affecting my well-being, right? I start drinking my tea quicker. Do you know what I mean? All them kind of little habits, right? He's muck. He's absolute muck. And the fact that going into sort of week 5 now, it will be of the Premier League, won't it? Week 5, and we're considering, supposedly we're not. Let's get that out of the way. We're not going to bring in a goalkeeper. There's nothing in the Butland link, as far as I think. As I know, yeah.
As well.
Well, exactly. But the fact that someone we could have scouted 3 years ago, Keith, right? The fact that we're even discussing him shows you the level of keeper that we've currently got. Look, we know what we got. He's settled in there. You know, some people think that he was crucial to the 10 winning streak last season. I don't personally think. You know my thoughts. I thought he's got a mistake in him every game, but we were so good. Our level of confidence was so high that we overrode everything. It's slightly different, and that's my worry this time round.
He was helped by the Super Cup last year as well, Grizz, in the sense that his second game and he saves penalties in a shootout to secure the trophy. Like, so that gave him the impetus to on now. The confidence isn't there now, and it's the
this is my worry. And look, people can dress it up how they want and say, "Oh, listen, he's a backup and it's decent and everything." He's not. He's an awful. He was West Ham's second keeper for a reason. He was out in Spain without a club for a reason. A decent keeper gets snapped up. I can't remember the circumstances we brought him in, but whatever it was, he's not even suited to our style of play. You know, when we look at keepers stylistically, in terms of ones that come out, command the area, good on the ball, read the play, are used to playing with the offside line. He was used to playing with West Ham's offside line, for fuck's sake. Literally next to him on the goal line, right? He's not even stylistically used to our way of playing. So I don't, you know, we've praised Edwards and Co and our recruitment team fine, but this one was a howler. We have to accept it. It was a howler.
Mignolet almost there. Mignolet went late in the window, and I think
that's what it was. You're right. So look, we're allowed to make slight errors in the transfer market, and I think it's fair to say this was an error in the transfer market. Now we're stuck with him, so we've got to just grin and bear it. Klopp, Linders have to slightly adjust our tactics, our way of playing until Alisson comes back, and that's all we can hope for. There's no chance we throw in the young Irish lad. I personally rate him. I know you guys don't think highly of him. I do. I think
I'd put him in. I'd put him in on Friday, and
it's just his physique, Shawnee. I think he's got the calmness. What's the word I'm looking for?
He's better.
Composure.
He's better with the ball at his feet than I.
I was just going to say he's much better
with the ball at his feet.
Much better with the ball at his feet. It's just his physique. You can imagine with them two lumps up front, Everton, they would bombard us. If they saw the young kid in goal, they probably will do that. Seeing Adrian in goal, to be honest with you, that's the only thing. The reason why I wouldn't play Carragher, but his composure, his maturity is way beyond his age. You know, that's the only reason. His physicality is the only reason I wouldn't throw him in there. But there's no goalkeeper coming in, and Jack Butland's absolute gone down the pan, bless him, since his injury. So that wouldn't make sense either.
Well, you see, the thing about Jack Butland is, like, very, very highly rated a couple of years ago, but he was relegated with Stoke the season before last. So he's sitting at Stoke, you know, on big money, and no one's gone in for him. No one said, "Oh, Jesus, Jack Butland stood out. He's really good," and, you know, he's unfortunate. He nearly kept him in the league. He was probably fucking one of the biggest reasons they went down. But if that doesn't tell you something, what would? You know, we're sitting here 3-4 transfer windows since he got relegated. No one's gone near him. You know, but I think we're just Adrian is in goal for Liverpool until Alisson comes back. I think we just have to deal with that.
I just want to quickly say, and Dicko says, Grizz, we've signed worse keepers. I agree, but not under this regime. That's my point. Not under this recruitment policy, not under these scouts. We've signed awful keepers. We know that. But this is the worst keeper we've signed in terms of this new committee recruitment policy. You know, that's what I meant under these owners. We've signed worse. We know we've signed worse. We've signed some atrocious.
What?
I'd sign Butland.
Would you?
And I'd play him on Saturday ahead of Adrian. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. See, it's been doing my head in. Go on.
And I'll tell you why. And you know yourself, I'm not a very reactionary lad, but Adrian is not good enough. And the fact him just being in goal on Saturday, there's a stigma around him now.
Exactly.
There's a stigma around him now. We could pluck any second team keeper from any team in the Premier League, and you'd feel more comfortable now in Adrian in goal because it's not Adrian.
Yeah.
That's why I would play Kelleher. Because if Kelleher is going to make a mistake, he's very young and he's going to make mistakes in his career anyway. Adrian is, I don't know, I've done a complete 180 on him since last week in the game. And I put my hand up and admit I was wrong because I thought a few of the lads were being harsh. I know Dicko, I know Grizz, and I know Davro were very vocal and wanting him out and wanting a better second choice. And I was of the idea that, look, we won't be using our second choice keeper, but lo and behold, Alisson.
Can I possibly offer you small light at the end of the tunnel and say, now that you've said the focus will be on him, there's a stigma around him, everyone will be watching him, will it calm him down, Seany? Because I'm hoping it will calm him down. Maybe he'll go back to basics.
It won't be helping him either. It won't be helping him reading in the newspapers that were linked to a goalkeeper as well. Like, I tell you what,
well, that depends. That depends how good the links are. You know, apparently Blood Red have done a podcast earlier and said that Button to Liverpool is just not happening. The thing for me is, and listen, we'll move on from in a minute. But the thing for me with Adrian is, he tries to be too clever. He tries to be something he's not, and that's one of the worst. It's one of the worst traits you can have as a footballer.
Football man, shout that one. That needs to be repeated. Say that again, Keith.
The Spanish Joe Hart. He's the Spanish Joe Hart. He bigs up when he makes a mistake, but he always makes a mistake.
I'd literally have Joe Hart in goal. I'd start Joe. If we had Joe Hart at the club, I'd start him on Saturday. I'm not joking.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, like, this happened last season when he came in. And, you know, he comes on against Norwich at Anfield and we win 4-1 and then we go away to Southampton and he makes a bollocks of a few things.
That's a brilliant point because last year when he come on against Norwich, he wasn't Mignolet. Yeah. So we were like, oh, well, thank God fucking Mignolet.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, but this is what I'm saying to you. When he comes on and he has that problem against Southampton, he's poor against Leicester for their goal from Maddison, I think, scores.
Yeah.
You know, but he was trying to be something that he's not. And this crept in again against Villa where balls passed back to him. Listen, you're not Alisson Becker. You're not going to be able to take out your feet and ping a 40, 50 yards to Trent Alexander-Arnold. And you're not going to be able to play a little ball into midfield and get us turned and moving. Kick the fucking thing, right? And the gas thing is, if you go back and watch last season, after he makes that howler against Southampton, the players are literally passing it back to him and they're not going near him. They're not moving out wide. They're not moving back towards him. They're standing exactly where they are as if to say, well, don't pass it to me. You've only one option here and it has to go long. Now, people would claim that, that'll be an issue for Liverpool. It's only an issue if you're not hungry enough to win a second ball. And that's where listen,
needs most.
I don't disagree with Seany and I don't disagree with Grizz or anybody else that says Adrian isn't good enough to play goal for Liverpool. I don't disagree with that whatsoever. But this is the situation you're in, whatever way it came around or whoever else is to blame or whatever it may be. But you have to deal with it. And the easiest way to deal with this is to say to Adrian, listen, if you're not confident and you don't want to catch it, don't. Just push it as far away in goal as you can. If it gets to your feet, fucking boot it. Unless there's a player completely open in 50 yards of space. Just keep launching it up the fucking pitch. And we'll win the second ball and we'll play from there. That's the way we're going to have to do this for 4 to 6 weeks. It's just the way it is. There's no way around it. You know, and
can I throw something in about keepers, right? So I think goalkeepers to Klopp are like centre-backs or defenders to Pep Guardiola. I think they're a huge blind spot for him. The obvious exception is Alisson, right? I don't think he signed a keeper in his managerial career until he signed Carragher for us. I could be wrong on that, could be well wrong. But I think the likes of Weidenfeller and all that Dortmund came through. I think the Mainz keepers might have been in-house. There was a big hoo-ha at the time that, you know, he doesn't sign keepers, he goes with what's there. I don't know if he has this blind spot or he leaves it to John Achterberg for his opinion too much, because our keeper recruitment outside of Alisson, which is, you know, the big one, got that one right, can't argue. But the characteristics, Karius, of Adrian, of Jack Butland being linked, you know, all these number twos that get linked, there doesn't seem to be any joined up thinking with it. They're not like going for a keeper that can play, as we've all said, right, can play with the ball at his feet, can play the ball out as comfortable. We don't seem to be doing that. There's no thinking behind it. And I don't know if he leaves it. It's not, he just doesn't want to get involved. He gives too much faith with the goalkeeper. He's not ruthless enough with them. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if he just leaves it to Achterberg and the other goalkeeping coaches.
I think he does. I think he does.
But going heavy on the young lads, though. There's a lot of young lads at the being involved.
Seany, you know,
they're churning them over, aren't they, Seany? They're coming in and they're going out just as quick.
Lads, I genuinely think the new kid that we bought, the Brazilian Alisson's recommendation, I genuinely think he will be promoted far quicker than a lot of people are thinking.
Yeah, but he's only
honestly, I would play him on Saturday.
Seany will play Roy Cropper in goal on fucking Saturday if he got the chance. Just isn't once he doesn't have to look at Adrian.
That game is on Troy on 12:30 on Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you see the build up, watch it.
Yeah, the build up will be. Yeah, I know what's coming. I know what's coming. Well, that's a nice.
One made a brilliant point about their forwards will be pressing. They're already pressing demons under Ancelotti, but they will be licking their lips. You know, every back pass will be harassed. He will be under huge pressure.
That's no problem. No, but you see, that's no problem. That makes his mind. Grizz, that makes his mind up for him. That makes his mind up for him.
That's a simplistic way of saying it because that's not how Liverpool Football Club play football.
Everyone,
and that's not the blueprint of our success.
But Grizz,
so listen, we're not going to lump the ball away
you have time. But listen, you have to adapt to the situation you're in. Grizz, I would be happy if you told me that Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin and whoever else, James Rodriguez won't chase that and he doesn't run, but.
Even he'll run this time.
Right? No. I would have no problem if you said to me they're going to close down him or they're going to make an attempt to get close to him when the ball comes to him. I'd have no problem because I know then the options are taken out of his mind. That it's just I have to get rid of this, and that's the issue. If you watch him when he has to just do something instinctively and kick it, fine. But when he gets his foot on and he starts looking around and thinking that's the issue. Grizz, listen, all keepers do that. All keepers do that. All keepers hit bad balls out into the middle of midfield and you get caught. But what I'm saying is, there's much less chance of you being caught if that happens, if you kick it to the halfway line, than it is if you're playing it across your six-yard box. This makes Everton will set traps if Everton are cute. What they'll do is they may just stand off him and then let him take a touch and then let him go. But if we have any sense, we just go, listen, just get fucking rid of it. Just get rid of it, and that's the end of it. But we could go on all night about this fella, but I'm sure we'll have a big discussion during the week about it when we're doing proper actual previews of the game and who we would like to start. Seany's putting forward anyone that wants a game, turn up at Goodison Park about quarter past 12 on Saturday. Just tell him Seany sent you.
Son that goes with you, you're all right.
Yeah, Roosh. Now let me see. That was you were talking about the build-up, Seany, and it was a great segue until me and Grizz start arguing. And the segue is the pay-per-view stuff and the Premier League, and there's a lot going around. And Seany, I'll stick with you on it. There's a lot going around about there was a vote, and apparently they wanted 25 quid a game, and even the Premier League teams were like, "Whoa, hold on, that's going a bit far." But what do you make of this, Seany? Because the way football's gone, they're staggering kickoffs and stuff like that. But this to me looks like. It does feel like a bit of a money grab, Seany. Now, people will argue, well, you get to see every other game anyway. People watch it on streams and whatever else, so what's the difference? But for fans that want to see their team and don't have the option of streams and stuff like that, it's a bit of a money grab, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very disappointing because it just shows how out of touch with reality that the Premier League are and what's going on in the current situation. And look, a common argument made by football fans is, they are being priced out of the game with tickets and that. But if you want access to every Premier League game now, you probably need 3 or 4 subscriptions and a total amounting to what? Probably 120 quid a month. So it's already expensive to watch football. And piracy is a massive, massive issue with football at the moment. People are just looking down other avenues. They're not enticing people to do the right thing because they're pricing people out of it. That's what it is, especially in these times where people have found it hard to come across money. People probably would have had that season tickets passed down and they pay for games through that way, and that's better for them. You don't watch the football at home. You don't go to the pub and watch matches. €15 a match is scandalous.
£15.
And £15, sorry. It's honestly. It just shows how out of touch that they are. And I'm surprised that clubs aren't intervening and saying, well, what the fuck is going on? We've all turned around and said, why haven't the Premier League set up a Netflix service? I'm dreading now if they do, because I can only imagine what they'll charge if you're getting every game per month. it's a massive misread by the Premier League, and I think it's actually a missed opportunity for them to show advertisers that they can provide a service for a decent price. They've completely got it wrong. They've absolutely flunked it big massively.
I think they have. Courtney nearly says what's ridiculous about the pay-per-view is that countries outside the UK pay a lot less per season than us for matches, and they get all of them, which is a fair point. You know, if you go on and you have your access to American channels, you can watch any bleeding Premier League game you want.
And what's Dazen do
in Canada,
subscription, don't they? That you can get any game, like
so many people were DMing me telling me look, in our countries, India, Canada, Australia, so many countries are telling us we get all the games for free. It's as Seany says, it just literally shows how out of touch they are with reality and life on the socially right now where we're at. It's an absolute scandalous decision. I wouldn't be surprised if it's overturned eventually. They stop this. I think the backlash has been huge. And you're not only talking sort of fans, you're talking journalists, mainstream journals getting on their backs. It's a pure opportunist move. Pure opportunist move.
You say opportunistic move, and then when you look at Liverpool versus Sheffield United, which was down for 3 p.m. The week after next, and now they've moved to the 8 p.m. on pay-per-view. You know, so if you want opportunistic, that's where it is. James Pearce done a tweet on it the other day. We stuck it on our Instagram because he made a very, very good point. You know, there's times people are during tough times, and as Seany said earlier, football plays a massive part in people's lives. And to turn around and say to someone, oh yeah, and you know, like you see all this government stuff, and you see the Premier League, and you see Sky and BT, and they've all these hashtags about sticking together and in this together and stand firm and all this shit. When actually what they're doing is they're just trying to basically tell you, please don't cancel your subscription. And by the way, a couple of months down the line, when we still have no fans on the ground, we're going to just start charging to watch the game, because you know what, we have you fucking cornered, and we can just make you pay for it. And that's the fucking truth. They have you cornered. They have you absolutely cornered, and they've sweetened the nut by saying, here, I'll tell you what we'll do. The first 4, 5, 6 games of this season, we'll stagger all the stuff, right? And we'll put them on all our channels. And isn't that great? Well, not really, no. Because as Kieran Thorne says, he just renewed the Sky and BT for £102 per month. And now they want them to pay an extra £15 a game. So what they've done is they've lulled you into a false sense of security. And now they've cornered you into, they get you used to football with no fans, and then they say to you, oh, here we go, I'll tell you what we do. Now, do you want to watch Liverpool against Sheffield United? Well, remember we had it staggered in 3 p.m, the lockout on 3 p.m. was gone. Well, it doesn't matter anymore, we're moving it to 8 o'clock, and give me 15 quid. And you know what's going to happen? It's not. IPTV is what's going to happen, and people are going to go on, they're going to log on to NBC Sports Gold, and they're going to bash it on and watch it, and fair fucking play to them.
I wonder, Gav, how many people will actually pay for any of these matches. Like, I'd love to see the figures. I think they will shoot themselves in the foot by pricing it at that, because I don't think many, like, some people will, but I think their take-up will be very low for what they're expecting. I mean, I wouldn't pay 15 quid for any of them. If Liverpool aren't on the telly and I don't have IPTV, I won't watch it.
They've harmed themselves, even financially in it. If they had said it's a £5 for the game, would have been grand. So Sky do on Now TV, they do a weekend pass, it's a tenner, and whatever games on that weekend you'll get, and on any of the Sky Sports channels, like, they're completely out of touch. I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked, because Simon Jordan does be on TalkSport, and I hate TalkSport, but I do listen when he's on, because I do like the points that he makes. And he's turned around and said, it just goes to show that England can produce all of these players in St. George's Park, new styles of football, this and this. But the fundamental issue with the FA and the Premier League is that there's still dinosaurs at the helm in these companies. And they actually haven't got a clue what consumers want. Like, it's changed, because with all these subscriptions in place now, football should be more accessible than ever.
Yeah.
Even if there is no fans on the ground, should be more accessible than ever. But
they do the opposite.
It doesn't make sense, because, like Grizz says, India, like beIN Sports, CNBC in America, like, it's all free for them. It's on cable. Like, it's free to them. So why are you pricing out your main customer? You can monetize it to the British public in a way that where it'll be hoovered up. It'd be like, it's honestly, it's ridiculous. I can't get my head around that strategy. It seems like a complete lack of strategy. It's a complete cash grab, absolute cash grab, and it will backfire because, as Keith said, I'd imagine that the numbers won't be great at all.
Yeah.
Well, like, and this might sound a bit extreme, but there's an argument for you to ring up Sky and BT, like Kieran Thorne there, £102 a month, right? And there's an argument for you to ring up and go, cancel the whole lot now. I want it all gone. And they'll say to you, well, you have to give 30 days notice. Fine, I'll pay this month, but I'm not going any further with you. And then just turn around and order yourself an IPTV package for £100 a year. And that's it. There's an argument to do that now. And like you people who are talking to me now and people in the chat are saying, it is a money grab and it's exploitation of people. And I can't, and Shawnee said, like, you know, it's draconian and nearly at this stage. Why can't they turn around and go, lads, the piracy in the game is through the roof. If we do this, it's just going to fucking send it over the edge.
I was just going to say, they're actually driving you to leave.
Yeah. And people, and people that were, you know, worried about their subscription, worried about football, and, you know, oh, will I get to see this game? Will I get to see that game? Now they're looking, going, I'm paying for all this, and then if my team don't happen to be on your list, I have to pay another £15. So if Liverpool play 5 games a month and 2 of them games are, you know, not on the standard Sky or BT package, which is the chances are very small, let's be honest. But you're then paying on £102, you're paying nearly 30% more a month just to see your team play. It's unfucking believable. Unbelievable.
But once they hook people in, that's it, because it's like boxing. You can't get a boxing match for love nor money now that's not on pay-per-view. Do you know what I mean? Like, so if people take this up, they'll only have themselves to blame in 2 years when every game is paying.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Years and years ago, wasn't the Premier League Plus? Didn't Sky do one game a weekend that was pay-per-view?
Yeah.
And it was about €21, and it was always a big game. It was always like Liverpool United, Liverpool Arsenal. They went away from that. So what made them think it's a good idea?
I don't think it'll be totally scrapped. I think the future does lie with sort of the big games going to pay-per-view. And I'm not sure how anyone will be able to stop that unless there's a massive, massive boycott. But I don't think it will be for everyone.
IPTV.
Yeah.
But it's not even that. The future really should be, and this is probably another conversation to have another time, but the future should be, when is this Sky and BT contract up? When is it up? And when it's up, what we're going to do is, we're not going to sell any of our fucking rights. What we're going to do is, we're going to tell everybody around the world, listen, Premier League TV, right? And it's going to cost you £20 a month. Okay, worldwide, £20 a month. You get it on your Sky box or wherever you want to put it on, and you get it on and you flick around the fucking, like on a Wednesday night on BT, you can flick around and pick any game you want, right? And it's not even a streaming service, it's a television service at £20 or the equivalent of £20 a month worldwide. And we cut out Sky and we cut out BT and we cut out everybody, and we just go direct to the customer. There you go, £20 a month, and you can have it on your telly, and you can have it on your mobile, and you can have it on your tablet, or whatever way you want to use it. That's the way to go. Because I have a little feeling here that Sky, BT, or whoever are charging this have pressurised the Premier League a little bit, because they're saying, listen, we're going to do this, and if you don't back it, we will start questioning what we're paying you, and you're going to lose even more. So we're going to pay you what we owe you, but we're going to go and do this on the side, and you're going to back it. You're going to toe the company line whether you like it or not. And I have a feeling that that's what might be happening here.
I will say one thing. If they promise me I don't have to listen to fucking Martin Tyler and Alan Smith, I might just pay £15.
Would you listen to Adrian doing the commentary on Saturday? Because that would mean he won't be in goal.
I'd literally rather hack me bollocks off for a rusty stone.
Right. Well, listen, it's something that's going to rumble on, unless, you know, like when some common sense comes in and it gets overturned. You know, we've seen it happen in football before and with Liverpool before, where situations come up and common sense prevails.
Before we move on from that, Gav, have you seen the stuff, I'm sure you all have, about Liverpool and Man U and Rick Parry and the EFL looking to sort out football into the future and all this sort of stuff? And the Premier League are going mad over that, because it takes away a bit of the power from them as well, you know. So the Premier League, I think,
it's not a good look for the clubs who are pushing that, though, I don't think.
I think it's all right. I was reading about it all day. I think it's all right.
I like the layout. I like the playoff idea between the Championship and the Premier League, same as the Bundesliga. But I don't think there should be like a hierarchy. I don't like that, because you look at what happened with Newcastle, and look, we go back to piracy. Newcastle they wouldn't allow your man to take over at Newcastle because of piracy issues, and then they want to charge 15 quid a pop to watch the match. So,
but that doesn't mean that there's no foresight at the Premier League, in my opinion. Like there's huge issues there. It's
they've had that way since 1992.
Yeah,
and the way they look at it is, it's not broken, don't fix it. But it's not. It doesn't have to be broken. The world moves on, times move on, and you look at what's going on nowadays. This is what happens, and you have to adjust to it. The Premier League just want the Premier League to be the way it's always been. You know, the biggest league in the world. We call the shots. We sell all our rights to all over the world for massive amounts of money. And why change anything? You know, Rick Parry's rocked the boat a couple of times now, and he rocked it during the whole discussion about coronavirus and voiding leagues and stuff like that. And he's rocking it again now. But it'll be interesting to see him, and of course we'll watch that as it goes on. Grizz, I want to come to you. FSG and Red Bull, or what's your man's name?
Billy Beane.
Billy Beane. He's back on the scene. Billy Beane back on the scene. I like that.
Billy Beane is not my lover.
So we're looking at Billy Beane is not my lover. Do you know what? When I put this out for an audio download, I'm changing the name of the podcast to Billy Beane is not my lover. It's actually amazing. And Shawnee's head on Michael Jackson's body. But if I have time. But
big commitment, big commitment.
Especially the amount of shit I have to do. Make an appointment. Grizz, this here looks, when you get down to the nitty-gritty of it, it looks like somewhere around 1.3 billion for a 20% share in the FSG portfolio, which would include the Red Sox and would include Liverpool Football Club. What are you making of this?
It's brilliant that you came to me first, the person who's read about it the least. So I'm just gonna sort of hand it over to the other lads and say, look, there's not much we can make of it because we don't know the exact details. There is uncertainty in terms of, will it be a positive? The natural reaction to every layman fan is, will it mean, we get to buy Mbappe? Well, it's that's not the focus or the points that are relevant right now, because this is huge. This is, as we were speaking off air, and I don't want to take Shawnee's points. Shawnee's going to obviously go on to them, and this has been in the makings, in the works for a little while now. It's not just suddenly these talks have appeared. There is a long-term strategy behind these plans and behind this sort of proposed takeover. And it's not just affecting Liverpool, as you said, it affects the whole network, sort of, which includes Boston Red Sox. So it's the whole portfolio. Look, it's way too complicated for someone like me to try to break it down and analyze it. But until more details come out, it's slightly naive to sort of make judgments on it, in my opinion.
So what you're saying is you were too lazy to read any of this in preparation for the show?
Correct. And he gave us the heads up on it as well.
He said, look, lads, look what's happening here. And then just went, they'll read it.
Listen, it's all about
I'm off to
teamwork.
have a big glass of milk.
Listen, they don't call us the A-team for no reason. It's all about teamwork. Each one has this speciality. This is
delegating. I like that, Grizz.
Interesting. You mentioned the A-team. I have a little question for you as well before we finish later on. Most people will guess what that is.
MBA Baracus.
Shawnee is face.
He's definitely faced. There's no doubt about it. Walking around looking the business and just letting people know that he's been offered a board, usually in it, but he's definitely faced.
Someone's got to do a mock-up of us in the A-team with our faces in it.
I'd say so. Well, in fairness, the one of me and Keith in the Sky Sports studios went down well, so I'm sure we can do that. Yeah. But Shawnee, looking at this, it looks like they are trying to raise capital it's a portfolio thing, not just Liverpool Football Club, and it wouldn't mean that Liverpool will be traded on the open market, or the stock exchange, and the group, the portfolio would, but not Liverpool Football Club. Shawnee, there's been positives towards this, there's been negatives towards it. What's your feeling on it?
It's hard to say, because, like, are they gonna remove FSG lads from the positions in terms of Liverpool? No, because the 20% they won't be able to. You know what I mean? I think this is some sort. I think the end game for this, what's it called? What's it called again?
Red ball.
Red ball. Sorry. I think the end game for them would be sort of like a succession plan with FSG to eventually for them to take over, and that to be under the Billy Beane portfolio, because I know Billy Beane is highly regarded in the sports world in America as being a shrewd businessman and
an innovator.
He is, and he does invest. And look, I don't know. It's hard to know exactly what impact it'll have on Liverpool, but my feeling is that the impact will be minimal, if any. I think it'll just be, there's a larger pond of money there to break. Look, I think in a perfect world, we'd be completely separate entity from the Boston Red Sox, and we'd be Liverpool. And for that to happen, we would be floated on the stock market. And I know people are saying they don't like the sound of the stock market when you look at Manchester United, but there's loads of clubs on the stock market. Look at Borussia Dortmund, look how well that they run, and they're on the stock market. You need to understand that, like, they're not all Glazers. That is the same way that they're not all Chiefs and they're not all Abramoviches. Not everyone's a Glazer. We have no depth. We have nothing to be pounded in and taken advantage of by someone like a Billy Beane. So, I'm not too worried about it. Unless Billy Beane looks like Brad Pitt and he's sitting in the main stand every other week, well then I don't really care.
Yeah.
You're all about the looks, Seany. All about the looks.
Image is everything.
Image is everything. Keith, for you, you know, I've read up a little bit on this, and it's limited information you're getting at the moment. It's rumor going around. There's been a couple of figures thrown around. Of course, it's a minority stake in the portfolio, so you know how much of the percentage of Liverpool is involved in that 20%. You don't know, you know. But for you, is this some sort of solution where FSG are basically selling a minority stake of Liverpool, but they're just doing it in a slightly different way?
Yeah, I think I read a lot of the stuff that's come out on it today, and there's a lot, not a scaremongering, but people are panicking that it means that Liverpool are going to be paying FSG will be paying out a dividend, and it's all going to come out of Liverpool coffers. Nobody knows what's going to happen. The one thing I'd say is FSG, since they've taken over Liverpool, haven't taken money out and have done everything to get us where we are right now. Not everyone will agree with that. A lot of people criticise them and think they got lucky by hiring the best man for the job, even though they were the ones who hired him. I think FSG will do this it's more than Liverpool, it's the whole group. Do you know what I mean? Anyone who saw Moneyball know, or that even knows the story, that John Henry was mad to get Billy Beane on board, and eventually he's going to get him into the whole portfolio now. I think it's just FSG making a bigger move for their own business than just Liverpool. And I think Liverpool fans are probably panicking. As Seany said, it's not all a case of Man U, you know, taking money out. Look at other clubs that are trading on the stock exchange that are ran well. And my thinking is we'd be the same. FSG have shown no indication that they will, you know, run us any differently. Whether Billy Beane is invested in the club or not, I just think it's not that it's a non-story, but it's much ado about nothing really.
Just to finish on it, Seany, Super Tiger says Billy Beane Investment Group screams of following City's route of buying clubs in other leagues to skirt around local rules and have a place you can use a finishing skill for your youth players. Is that a good show? Is that a good show for you, Seany? Because I see where the investment got, like they've invested in a League Two team in France, haven't they? Torres, maybe. Was it Toulouse?
I think, but they were only relegated.
Yeah,
so they were in League One.
But what I can see here is this. For me, Seany, this just looks like, listen, we're going to give you 20% of everything rather than just focusing in on one entity. And it means then that they don't have to, they don't have to spend that 1.3 billion. 20% of Liverpool is probably somewhere around 400 million at the moment, right? And Liverpool fans would look for it to go into Liverpool. Whereas it's a lot easier for Fenway Sports Group to say we're taking in 1.3 billion across whatever we own or any assets, and we can move it whatever way we feel like it, because I'm sure the Boston Red Sox fans are looking going 1.3 billion, well, we want the most of it, and Liverpool fans say we want the most of it, and it's easier to shuffle money around in a bigger circle than be under pressure for Liverpool fans to go, well, you just gave us 400 million, where is it, that kind of way.
Yeah, exactly. That was like this idea of going City's route of like bleeding out players and these networks. These networks already exist. You'd be surprised. You just can't see them. You know what I mean? Like, I'd imagine we have very close ties to the likes of Red Bull Salzburg and possibly Leipzig, and they would be potential networks that the same Michael Edwards is laying down the routes in. Like Chelsea for years had Vitesse Arnhem in Holland, where they'd lend out their players to every year. Even though there was no direct link there was always a good relationship between clubs. These relationships exist in world football. They exist in everything, really. You know what I mean? There's nothing you can do because, look, let's not lose sight. They are businesses at the end of the day, and big businessmen have friends in high places, so to speak. We're going through the whole of musical touches tonight, but it will always be the case where these lads have mates in places where they can just loan out players or basically abuse and neglect and avoid any rules. So I'm not worried about it, lads, to be honest with you, because as long as Edwards and Klopp are there, what needs to be done will be done. Like, I think football fan,
and he's also he's a Liverpool fan as well, Billy Beane.
We spend too much time worrying about this shit that we can't
control.
That's the thing, you see, because I'm wondering, will we see any change to Liverpool if this went ahead? I'm wondering what we would actually see.
Not in
the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
David Moyes is back in the chat. Our mate David Moyes. It's the real David Moyes, and great news. He says, I'm coming back this weekend to a stadium and we'll have Ben Rama at my disposal. He says Harry Kane and Gareth Bale, I'm coming for you. So there you go. Big words from yeah, he's back. He's back. He has all his senses back now, and he's back to haunt the Premier League. And good man yourself.
That's a cracking signing for West Ham.
How much?
Cracking signing. Okay, the price is slight high, 30 million, but that's including
Jesus. Brentford have made
well this summer, didn't they?
Jesus, 60 million quid. Nice one. And a new stadium.
He's bloody special. I can't believe he hasn't been snapped up by a bigger club. Sorry, no offense, David.
But why hasn't he is a question.
David won't care. David doesn't even like West Ham, for fuck's sake.
It's balls. You need balls.
Right, well, listen, we'll move on. We've about 10-15 minutes left. So, Keith, I'm going to come to you first. And throughout this week, of course, we'll have the forum tomorrow. 4 really good topics on that tomorrow. We'll have the midweek fix on Wednesday, where we'll discuss. We'll probably get into the same stuff again. That's when it develops as to what we've been speaking about tonight. And then we'll move to the Friday forecast, where we will do a big preview of the Everton game. But just without doing a big preview now, or predicting teams or anything, it's too far out, in my opinion. How big is this, Keith? Because I know it's the 5th game of the season. I know Everton have started with 4 wins from 4. We had a disaster against Villa. People don't expect Everton to continue on in this vein for well, they don't expect them to be challenging come the end of the season. But how big a game is this? Because we've seen teams in the past, Keith, where they get on a good run and adrenaline pushes them, and before they know it, they're coming around January, February, and they're right in the mix. And that's an Everton thing. And for Liverpool, how big is it for us to react? And is it the perfect game to do so?
I don't think it's the perfect game to do so. In some ways, it's like, you just get out and react. It's easier said than done. And I'm hugely worried about what players will be available for us come Saturday. That's the big issue I have. Everton could surprise a lot of people this year because they've signed well, right? They've signed well over the last year or so. And they have a manager now that is a genuinely world-class manager, right? So I know what you're saying. Teams can take an early lead and then can tail off and find their natural place. But Everton, I think this is going to be the biggest game for them in fucking decades. I think it's, they're going to be they're going to see us as a wound, not like they're going to see us on the ground and think, right, we can get these. They thought that last year when we played the kids. They thought that when we went in and made 4 or 5 changes to our team. They always think they have a chance, but I think this time they could have a chance, and only down to the fact that they're on a high, and I'm worried about who will be missing. I'm really worried about it.
Yeah. Seany, 2 questions for you. Can Everton keep this up? And by that I mean, staying challenging for top 4 over the season? That's the first question. Jesus, he was quick on that. He's very, very upset. That's the first question. And the second question is it an advantage to Liverpool that Everton go into a derby believing they can beat us? Because usually when Everton have their tails of going into a derby, we put them back in their box. And usually when they're in crisis, they play a little bit better. Do you know where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I wish this game was at Anfield. Now there's no fans there. But one thing that probably the only criticism I can have of Jurgen Klopp in his 5 years of being Liverpool manager is that he goes to Old Trafford and he goes to Goodison Park. And I think it's in the back of his head. It's probably the only game of the season where he thinks, I don't want to lose here.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose here. And we've been shite every single. We've been crap. We got the winner with Mane Christmas, everyone. Shite game. One of the worst games you'll ever watch. The one after that was a 0-0.
That's the last goal, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's always shite. It's crap. But that being said, whenever we go there, they're fucking in the mud. And they're done. The season is done. It's literally the only game that they have. It's the cup final. The narrative is a little bit different on Saturday. There's a bit of a pressure on Everton this time because they'll probably feel they might need to be able to get a result. You know what I mean? And they might be able to get a result. But I'm not fucking buying it. I'm sick of this shite. People blowing smoke up Everton's arse. They had a rough game against Brighton at home. They beat a shite Everton, and I don't even know who they played in another game. It's Everton. We are still one of the best boys in Europe. If we are on a level par and people think this is a 50-50 game, I'm mad. I'm mad.
Well,
talking is in net.
Grizz has 2-2 locked in here, I'd say.
Coming to me after that, should have gone to Seany last. Look, I disagree. I think it's the worst time to go to play Everton. I don't believe in this. I don't believe it's sort of. It's a pivot. Every game is pivotal in this Premier League. We know that it's going to be. It's mad, especially the way it started. I think Everton are playing really well. I think Everton have bought really well. I think Everton have got an elite manager who's in his 2nd season now. Is it his 2nd, Gab?
Yeah. Fourth full season.
There you go. He's an elite manager. Elite managers have impacts on teams, and his impact is seen throughout this team. They've got an absolute awful goalkeeper, yet they're still churning out results, which shows you the level of the rest of the team. I think it's high. I think their centre backs are physical. I think they're great in Mina and Keane. They can be got out, but apart from that, I think everywhere else they're very strong now. Their weakest link was central midfield. They've strengthened that in abundance.
Apart from the 2 centre backs and the goalkeeper.
Yeah, well, I think their centre backs are good. I said, but they can be got at. I think their fullbacks are very good. I've always rated Coleman. Look, forget about. I'm not blowing smoke up their ass. I'm just saying.
Coleman injured, is he?
Yeah.
Is he injured?
Yeah.
Oh, that could be interesting because he's a good player and he has a stormer against us every game. We do freeze at Everton. We do freeze at Old Trafford. The turmoil around our squad in terms of illness, players coming back from injury, it's not a pleasant time to go there. But it's what champions are made of, and when Seany says we're still the best team around, of course I do believe that overall we are. We're massive. We're way ahead of Everton. Everton, I don't believe will challenge for the top 4 or something, but they've got an absolute brilliant chance of getting to that top 6. I think they've got the informed striker in the Premier League, and the midfield's full of energy and running. Our players have been everywhere around the world. The likes of Bobby will be coming back Thursday. I think.
Was Richarlison away?
Yeah, he was in this Brazil squad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Was Yerry Mina away in South America?
Yeah, that was the South America. They were the World Cup qualifiers, so any of them, like these weren't friendlies. They were the qualifiers.
Oh yes, of course they were, because Rodriguez put one in the top corner, so he's in form as well. Look, you want my opinion? I think we will go there very tight, like we do. The returning of Mane and Hendo and Thiago is huge. Is massive. It gives us hope. It gives us a chance to see if we can control the game. And I also think the lack of fans, Seany, it's a tricky one for them. I will say this, because if the fans were in that crowd, in that ground, they'd be baying for blood in terms of attack, because they think they're good now, right? But the fact that there's no fans there, I think will work possibly against us, because they will still play cagey. He's Italian. He's Carlo Ancelotti. He's focused on sort of strength and power, and that's what he's going to do. I think they're going to give us a good. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. I think it's going to be sort of very. Oh no, it will. I think this one's going to be a special one.
Off this game.
Oh, I'm telling you. No, I'm telling you. I haven't said 2 or 4 reasons.
12:30 Saturday. Don't even get out of bed.
This has the makings of a possible a red card or two. And I'll tell you, if anyone's a betting man out there, 2 is the one to go for this week.
I disagree with you completely. You'll be surprised to hear. This is the perfect game for Liverpool to go and play, for the reasons you just said. We go to Goodison, we go to Old Trafford, and we play very conservative. We don't take initiative at these games. We become very reactive as to what the other team are doing. Because and Seany's right, we win the game with Mane in 16-17, and it's a shocking game of football. But it's brilliant ending. It's a brilliant ending. The following season, of course, we are going for the European Cup, and we play shadow side. Fine. And last season, of course, it was the first game back after COVID, and it was a game you'd nearly come to expect. This one, you can't go in and be conservative in. You can't be, because following that Villa result. And I'm going to get on to Klopp in a minute, because he said something very important in a YouTube video I watched from Liverpool Football Club, where he said, losses aren't too bad if you learn from them. And by Jesus, Liverpool learn from defeats. And the mix of everything going in here, for me, now it could be completely wrong come Saturday at 2:30 or whatever it might be, but the mix of everything going in here with their tails up, thinking they're fucking, prime fucking Barcelona from 2011 or whatever, and the fact that Liverpool need a reaction and will want to show a reaction, and have, for me, the 2 key players for them coming back in Jordan Henderson and Sadio Mane, and Thiago is a bonus. I think it's absolutely made for Liverpool to go out and absolutely upend these fuckers and literally turn around and go, yeah, is that all you have? Because here, we're back. Liverpool react so well to adversity, so fucking well, and it's one of their biggest traits. And I can tell you, these players might be away on international duty, but I'd say they're all absolutely foaming at the mouth to get back into this Premier League and put that Villa game to bed. Having said that, we will do a proper preview on Friday. We'll get Keith, we'll try to get Seany, we'll try to get Grizz, we'll try to get some Everton fans. They're very hard to come by. They're not very hard to come by.
They'll be all right now.
Well, we keep asking these people to come on and no one will answer us. I don't know whether it's, I don't know. I don't know.
You're very intimidating, Gav.
I'm not intimidated. Well, maybe the word that were very aggressive has been out there. Very aggressive. But listen, we'll have to wait and see. But we promise you a proper bumper Friday of with a big Liverpool and Everton preview, and the rest of the Premier League thrown in as well. Lads, I want to finish up in the next 5 minutes, but before we do, Liverpool Football Club put out a video the other day for Klopp being 5 years at the helm. It's 22 minutes long and it's sensational. And what I want to talk to all the lads, I don't know if, I think the 3 lads have all watched it. I know Seany's watched it. On a loop in the gaff, I'd say. He loves all that shit. He pauses it to watch it. He pauses just to watch Inside Anfield editions because he loves them as well. But Seany, I'll come to you first. I watched that video and I said in our WhatsApp group, we won't see his like again. not a chance. They were my exact words. Would you go along with that? Because even watching that video and how he explains ups, downs, tight games, how to deal with players, how to deal with fans, everything in that, he is just a phenomenal human being.
Yeah, like you heard of actors being born to play roles and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Jurgen Klopp was born to manage Liverpool, and he was born to manage a club like Liverpool. It's the way he did it at Mainz. It's the way he did it at Dortmund. It's just, he's genuine. Like, it's just all genuine. He never looks for sound bites. It's just, it all comes from the heart. And his outlook on football is pretty much his outlook on life. You know what I mean? Like, when he came in, we were in a shit spot. I know 13-14 was a hell of a roller coaster, but look, there was no stability. There was no foresight. There was no belief. There was no real connection between the players on the pitch and the fans in the stands. And it was the first thing he addressed. And he got bashed for it. And look, Klopp is highly regarded now, but don't forget, not too long ago, all of these big media groups and sports channels and Twitter pages were comparing him to Brendan Rodgers, his win percentage and stuff like that, and his win ratio. And these were all things that he held against him. But you talk about assets in football, you have Cristiano Ronaldo, you have Kylian Mbappe, you have Messi, you have your Van Dijk. Jurgen Klopp is arguably the biggest asset in world football, because you look around the Premier League at the moment, you look at Barcelona, not so much Madrid, but you look at the lack of leadership, the lack of management, the lack of foresight, the lack of vision, the lack of strategy. And then you look at Jurgen Klopp. He literally encapsulates what football is all about. It's about passion. It's about the fans. And it's about connection. It's about feeling them big moments and being attached to it. And that's why I get so mad at people who are negative towards Liverpool FC. And I know, especially now, I can't understand it. It's literally prime time to be a Liverpool supporter. We are living in the age of Jurgen Klopp. It's not going to get better than this. It's really not. It'll be a complete anomaly if it gets better than this. It's just incredible to see what he's done in such a short space of time. 5 years. And when he came in, we were all on the ground, and now look. And I hate it's corny, it's cheesy as fuck, and it's like stuff that Zlatan says. And I know that from doubters to believers, but look what he's done. Like, back on our pitch, all the superlatives. He's just incredible. We are so lucky to be born in this time of Jurgen Klopp and to be living in it as a Liverpool. And we don't realise how lucky that we are. We really don't.
No, we don't. Ben Webb, friend of the show, says, and if anybody wants to annoy Ben, get onto Twitter and tell him, listen, why don't you come on and have a chat with the lads? Ben Webb is brilliant. Get on and follow him on Twitter. He's deadly. 100%, he says, I presume on what Sean is saying there. He says, Jurgen and Liverpool Football Club and City are a match made in heaven. Statues will be made in years to come. I can't really argue with that. Where are they putting the statue though? You know what I mean?
Knock down all the other ones, melt them, and
I put out the filter light on the Breck Road, at the filter light there. I think it'll look great there.
Yeah,
Keith,
location.
Keith, we've all seen the video.
Before you go on to Keith, like, I just want to, Rajiv and other people, Zach, they're all in the comments about what about life after Klopp and what about what's going to happen in Klopp's last season.
Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about it.
Just stop.
Yeah.
Just stop. Literally one game at a time. Enjoy this fella, drink it all in, because it's not going to get better than this. Don't worry about what's going to happen 3 or 4 years down the line, because like I said, you can do absolutely nothing to affect that. But what you can do now is enjoy a golden generation in this club's history.
Yeah.
Ben Webb wants the statue outside the brick. I don't know if that'll happen, to be perfectly honest with you. Keith, Jurgen Klopp, 5 years, and what's your feelings on it? Because Shawnee's put it really, really well there, in fairness to him.
Yeah.
But just, you know, when you think back of all the memories around Jurgen Klopp and the, you know, Norwich away when Lallana scores, like Mane on his back, all the sorts of stuff.
Great.
And then you watch that video from the other day, which is just perfect. He's one in a million, isn't he?
He is one in a million, and I think he's the best thing to happen to the club. I think, look, I'm not going to run down Shankly and Paisley's, you know, legacies and all that, but he's had to come in and take on countries with unlimited resources and wealth to get Liverpool where they are, from where they were to where they are now. Like, make no mistake, we're one of the best teams in the world. You know, it was no fluke where we got to, and it was down to hard work. And every step of the way, he was mocked and he was lashed out of it. The 2-2 against West Brom at Anfield, when he brought them all to the crowd, fans got years of bleeding giving us stick over that. Oh, that's sad, 2-2 draw, celebrating a 2-2 draw. But he didn't see what he was doing, that he was bringing the fans and the team back together, stay till the end. And this is the results that you get. Everything he does is calculated. People think he's a buffoon and he's an idiot, but he's not. He's one of the smartest, most intelligent people in the world. You know what I mean? This fella he knows everything that he's doing. He plays on emotion, and it is a match made in heaven. You know, as was it Ben said, between the club and the city and Jurgen Klopp, because he just gets the people, he gets the character, he gets the values. And there's not many, you know, I can't think of another example. Cannot think of another example of a manager and a team that were so well matched as Klopp. Without, you know, they'd say Guardiola and Barcelona, he was a player there, he came up. But this Klopp didn't have ties to Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? He came here and You
could argue Ferguson and United.
You could argue, you could argue Ferguson and United, Arsenal and Wenger. I mean, there's been clubs that have had managers that just worked. But Klopp, you know, I'm not even just talking about in a football sense, I'm talking about personal sense, values and what he thinks and believes. It's easy to buy into him when you know the emotion. He's a very emotional fellow, we know that. But Liverpool fans and Liverpudlian Scouse people, very emotional. And it all fits. You know, the biggest thing I remember Klopp saying that I've taken from Klopp was was it the first interview press conference, and he said, you know, don't judge me when I come in, judge me when I leave. That's the standout thing that he said to me, and that's why I don't shit myself on transfer windows, because you can win a transfer window, but what does it achieve you? You know what I mean? Liverpool didn't buy anyone last summer of note, and everyone went apeshit. We didn't buy anyone before that, and everyone went apeshit. But we've gone as a club, we've gone up each of them years. Don't judge a transfer window on what happens then. Judge it at the end of the season. Don't judge a manager when he comes in. You know, don't hail Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, for example, without digging them out. You know, Ole's at the wheel. How good does it feel? Tell you that wheel's long gone. But we have Klopp, who's just
wagon wheel he has.
Right. But it's steady. Everything has been an improvement. They compare, as Shawnee was saying, you know, they compare Rodgers and Klopp's stats at the start. It was, but after this games, Rodgers had done that. They do the same with Solskjaer. Saying, you know, his win rate was the same. But he's not going anywhere. Klopp was progressing and was moving us all the time. It's just the ultimate match made in heaven. And I just think, you know, and anyone that has a bad word to say, even his character, we got beaten 7-2 by Villa last week. He's on there smiling, shaking all the Villa players, well, chicken winging them or fist pumping, whatever it is you do after the game. You know, he's not running off like a scalded cat. You know, he's magnanimous in defeat. People look at that as a weakness. It's not a weakness. It's a huge strength of his. I just think it's Moisey there saying, Ole's a good man. Sorry, Dave, didn't want to offend the managers' union. But he's just the ultimate Liverpool man, and he's not from Liverpool. Amazing. Biggest signing we've made, in my opinion. Transformed there, lifted us off the gutter and put us back where we belong.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I've left a comment up there for a bit because Courtney Neary says, my granddad lived through all the greats, Shanks, Paisley, etc. And he always said Klopp was easily there with Shanks. And this was before any of the trophies. It's obviously the persona of Jurgen Klopp that, you know when you hear people, when they walk into a room, everyone kind of he grabs their attention. I think that's what Klopp is like in the world of football. Grizz, What's your thoughts on Jurgen Klopp? And we've seen him do so many years at Mainz, so many years at Borussia Dortmund. He's 5 years into Liverpool now, with another 4 to go. He will have at least 9 years at Liverpool, all things going well, and hopefully more beyond that. But do you think this will be the most... This will be the club he'll always end up with the most emotion about, simply because he matches up so well, and because where he's brought the club from and to, and where it could go in the next 4 years?
Look, I can't really add much to what the two maestros have said about the fella and his time out here. But, you know, it's difficult to say what will be the most, what will be his most emotional club in terms of, you know, for him personally, because that's a personal decision. But what we can look at is the legacy he's left at each of those clubs and how the fans remember him. Not only the fans, from boardroom level downwards to fans to everything. You know, all the great managers and all great people in life always have a unique way of capturing the moment and lifting that moment anytime it's down. And, you know, I've noticed with Jurgen Klopp and his tenure here, there's always been at the lowest ebb of... So, for example, we go back to his first season, and it's the League Cup final, isn't it? The first cup final we lose this. And we're playing against the state of... the United States of City, right? So Abu Dhabi, and he's got a sort of... We all know the team he has, but what does he say after the, you know, the final? We will learn and we will come back. You know, he says it, and you know, it's just this. He has this skill of just elevating anyone's mood at any given time. His everything about him is just sort of exactly what we needed. Even at the start of the COVID, when we had all the initial news of COVID, I wouldn't be surprised, people, if he announced his extension just to lift the moods of the people around the country. Not country, I mean Liverpool fans around the country. You know, we were another all-time low, null and void were out. He announces his extension. After every down, after the league, look at it, how gracious he takes every defeat. Look how... And you're right, he got a lot of stick with that West Bromwich incident and the fans and people taking the piss out of him about he's a hug merchant and all he's improved is his teeth. He never said a bad word. He never lashed out in the press. You never hear headlines. He never lost it with the media. You know, he's still the most sought after man in interviews, in press conferences. You know, there's been better coaches than him in terms of before he started winning the league, whatever. But he was the most sought after man. People wanted to interview him. They had him on Sky very early on, if you guys remember. Look how brilliant he was. Everywhere he goes, he lifts and elevates the mood of the people. Even this documentary, City have made a documentary, Spurs have made a documentary over fucking what? 15 episodes or whatever. In his 15, 20 minutes, he smashes all of those documentaries out the park. Just the things he says, to the players, the bond between the players. He doesn't need to act. It's not an act. It's absolute natural. And that's the thing with him. You know, what you see with him, with his players, is what he's like, you know, behind the scenes as well, from top to bottom. He's an absolute legend. He's a living legend. Look, I wasn't around at, believe it or not, I wasn't around at Shankly's time, just about in Paisley's. I'm joking if you stop fucking taking that seriously, but we can't speak for that era. But what we can speak and what we can live through, as Seany says, and I think he says as well, is live through the Klopp era and enjoy every fucking single second of it, because this is unique. Look how we talk about Shankly still. Right? Look how our elders talk about Shankly. Look how the elders talk about... We're going to talk like this about Klopp to our kids and our grandchildren because he's that special and more. Forget statues. This guy is the best thing that's ever happened to Liverpool Football Club, bar none. And long may it continue, man. Long may it continue.
If you ever need a reminder, just look at United fans now. They completely wallowed in their success for the best part of 2 decades, completely took it for granted. And the moment has passed them now. And now they're realising what they missed out on, what they lived through. And they're like, we didn't appreciate the good times. That's why I appreciate every 3 points, every time Klopp turns up to a press conference, everything he says. These are all very unique moments. And I love what Grizz said there. The greats in time, the great figures in history encapsulate big moments. Ali, when he beat Sonny Liston, I shook up the world, rocking the ropes. Just small little things you see. Klopp on the bus, we live in the age now of gifts and all of these memories he gives us. He's exactly like us. When you see the lads at Formby Hall and Klopp is going mad to show me love, throwing shapes like a 20-year-old out filling a dance floor. He is us in the management seat in Liverpool. He thinks and he feels like us.
Absolute goosebumps. Do you remember we won the league, Sean? Do you remember we won the league and he's holding, I think he's holding the trophy or something, and he's talking to the fans into the camera. So he's not doing the interview.
Yeah.
He said, fuck off with the interview. I'm talking to the fans. And he said, this is for you guys. I know you guys can't be here. Look at that. Who speaks like to the fans through a camera lens when the presenter's just doing a normal interview? He suddenly switches off from the media side of things and he's talking directly to every single Liverpool fan that is watching that interview and says, this is for you. I know you can't be here, but we feel you. Imagine how Reds felt like that across the world and the players. And that's the kind of shit he can do, just like that.
I have to be honest with you. The biggest moment for me, watching Jurgen Klopp over the last 5 years, was the night Liverpool were confirmed champions, and he's trying to do an interview with Sky, I think, at the time.
The moment for me as well.
The night of Kenny's cabinet. Remember Kenny's cabinet stole the show?
Scarf.
The big, huge, massive, huge scarf and the big cabinet. But people talk about statues being made. He gets Liverpool. He gets the city of Liverpool. He's a massive persona. He's this. But when you see a man win a league title, there's many managers out there that would have won that and made it about themselves and stood in front of cameras and went, "How look at me, I'm the big I am," you know. And he didn't. He crumbled, and he did crumble. That's genuine. He crumbled in front of a camera that night because he has immersed himself in Liverpool from day one. And yeah, Liverpool are waiting 30 years to win a league title, but he tried to cram 30 years of emotion into 5, and he took it all on his shoulders. And when you see an emotion from a man like that, who's you know, he's won it all. You know, he's won in England, he's won in Germany, he's won European Cup the year before. But to see him literally, to see it hit him live on TV, and for him to crumble like that, it's not something where you go, what the fuck is here? It's something where you go, well, that is a man that actually gets, that's a man that gets exactly what he's talking about, because he's talked about it a lot, and it just proves that he actually means it and he gets it. And that for me is the biggest moment of Jurgen Klopp's managerial career at Liverpool, and will probably, in my opinion, never be surpassed. I'm being honest.
It's a great point, Gav. Before you move on, it is a great point, because as you touched on there, it's not like he hadn't won anything. He won 2 league titles for Dortmund. He won the Champions League with Liverpool. He'd got over that sort of hump that people said he couldn't win things, ignoring what he'd won in the past. Yeah. But he knew the emotion that went with that league win. He knew what that meant more than anything to Liverpool fans. And you're right, it's
the biggest moment. It's the biggest moment for me.
And it wasn't about him. And that's exactly what, that sums him up perfectly. It wasn't about him.
Exactly. We have to go, an hour and 23 minutes. We're messing now. But Grizz, before we go, if you were to place all of us in the lineup of the A team, who gets what character? I'm going to let you do it, Grizz, because if I don't let you do it, you're going to claim all sorts and then go online and
bet you Grizz only knows BA.
and do it through our poll to make sure he gets.
You'll be very surprised. Shawnee is a surprise face.
Of course he is.
It's close between me and him. Keith is the brains. There's no doubt about that. Hannibal.
You've got that the wrong way around.
No, I think you are. I think Gav's the mad one, because Gav is literally mad. Gav looks calm to everyone else who listens to him, but we know how mad Gav is, and Gav is mad, absolutely mad. So Gav's Murdoch, Hannibal, face, and ain't getting no plane.
Yeah.
You do like a glass of milk, in fairness.
In fairness, like, the only thing I can tie you to with a plane is the time you were flying from Luton to Dublin, and you wanted to see what the time difference was between when you got to Dublin, which was amazing. So, maybe you should not get on a plane. So, there you go. Listen, that was a brilliant show. I really enjoyed it from start to finish. Shawnee, it's been a pleasure. We will talk to you very soon.
All the best, Gav. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for getting involved in the comments. I'm relaxed. Enjoy it all. And
it's all good.
It's only
It's all
only
good.
Everton.
It's all good. Adriano. Keith, thanks a million.
Anyone in? No, not Adriano, just anyone in.
Anyone in. As you said, and we said it during the show. If you have a boots, shin guards, and a pair of gloves, Goodison Park, 12 o'clock Saturday. Tell them Shawnee sent you, and you get a game. Keith, it's been a pleasure. I'll talk to you soon.
Pleasure as always.
Good stuff. And BA, talk to you in a bit, my man.
See you later, madman.
Good luck. Over and out.